JMO, welcome to Three Food Memories.
That was a great introduction. Thank you very much. It sounds like... Did you write that?
You know, somebody else said when they were listening to my podcast, I didn't think you were that intelligent.
No, I know you're that intelligent, but I don't know how anyone has time to write that. Can I have that?
I will send you a
I'd
copy
like
of this.
that for my website. Thank
Well,
you.
It is actually a treat to have the tables turned this time, to have
I'm not used to the
you.
attention being on me. I'm used to being the person giving the attention to someone. So just before we press record, I was like, okay, let's get started. Let's do this.
How do you feel now?
Yeah, good. I feel safe with you. I feel happy to be with you. I feel... People often say I'm scary, and I do have a guard up in life, which is funny given the work that I do. And so I actually don't mind the opportunity to show the real me, or this version of me that I am today.
Why the guard?
Because I've had a lot of pain in my life, which is why I've gone into the mental as anyone space, and why the book's coming out, and why I've done the podcast, and why I align with a mental health organisation called Gotcha for Life, which is Gus Warland's. And I feel like if I have a voice, then I want to use it. And there's a lot of people out there that don't have the ability to use their voice, whether that's because their ability has been taken away from them, or whether that they are not in the position to have that strength at this given point. And I'm strong, and I have a platform, and I'm going to use it to talk about this stuff. And I'm not just an entertainment reporter. I'm a person who has opinions, too many probably, and I bloody well like to share them.
So let's talk about this entertainment reporting.
I don't just write about fucking Instagram influencers and.
But 25 years though, there weren't Instagram influencers 25 years. You say it's so random every day. Can you regale some of the glitter moments that have stuck on you, like glitter?
Glitter like glitter. Look, I've just been I feel very lucky. It's a highly stressful environment being a journalist, and that's not taking away from others that are stressful, but just in terms of the stress levels, because everything changes every day. You never know what you're going to be encountering. You have to deliver to quick deadlines. The deadlines have gotten faster now than they ever were. We're talking seconds, not minutes, not.
And what were they like in the beginning?
You'd have, like, I started and had the best training in the business. I had the training at an organisation called Australian Associated Press, which was an old school wire service, and that meant it was the raw news that was provided out to everyone. So I started with that high stress, and it's never ended for me. But then when I went to, for example, 19 years ago, I started at the Sunday Telegraph. It was just a different type of stress, different type of pressures, different types of things you had to deliver on. When I was at AAP, you had to very much deliver on, this is the story that's happening right now. You were responding to the news. There's a terrorist attack, you need to report on that. There's a political something happening, you need to report on that. It wasn't so much breaking the stories. Whereas you go to a newspaper, you go to a news organisation that was like the Telegraph, and you have to break the news. You have to set the agenda. You have to do all of that. So when I was at AAP, I started off as in Parliament House in Canberra, and I had big aspirations to be a foreign correspondent and be a very serious journalist, a real journalist.
What's the difference between a real journalist and what you've been doing?
Well, it depends who you ask. If you ask someone that works at the ABC right now, they would look down at me and think that I'm just an entertainment guy. And to them, I say, so be it. I treat my journalism with the same respect and due diligence, I believe, that they do, and that I would if I was covering a court story, a police story, environmental education, any of those things. I absolutely endeavour to treat it the same way. I studied journalism. I have my shorthand. I do all of that stuff. Yeah, I'm interviewing celebrities or covering celebrity things, and they can be really silly things from what the latest bikini trend is, but they can also be really important things like setting the agenda on or reflecting societal issues of politics and sexuality, gender, all of those things. And they're the more important things to me personally than writing a story on a bikini.
Do you have a sense of responsibility to the people that are reading your work?
I do. And I mean, if you talk to anyone out there, they'll talk about fake news and, old mate Donald Trump has done his best to manipulate the media landscape. And there is an element of fake news, of course, because we all see the world through the prism in which we grew up. So I grew up in a pretty open-minded household with a beautiful mother who was a feminist, who brought me up to, was more centre-left politically than conservative centre-right. So, my fundamental beliefs are education for everyone should be entitled to basic education. Everyone should be entitled to basic health. These are things that I believe in my personal life and I believe in my professional life. And of course that's going to influence me as a journalist and how I see the world and how I speak to people. You're looking at me like...
No, I'm just listening. I'm
You're
trying
absorbing.
to say... No, I'm absorbing.
So I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but it is really to my core. I don't always get it right, but to my core, it is really important to me that I treat my journalism with respect.
What happens when you get it wrong?
We all get things wrong.
But we don't all get things wrong in the public space like you do.
I'll own it. I make mistakes all the time. I own up to it. I've had years and years and years and years and years and years of therapy. And so I try to be good at it. My first reaction when I fuck something up, am I allowed to swear?
Absolutely.
I just do. Sorry. Bad luck, because I'm going to keep doing it. If I initially get something wrong, or if my initial response traditionally, and probably still, but I'm trying to be better at it, is to get my back up and be defensive.
Well, you have to protect yourself because really...
And coming from various traumas that have happened to me over my life, I get into that fight or flight situation. But I like to think that once I can have some sort of reflection on things, I can admit if I've made a mistake, or maybe the other person is just being an asshole, or I didn't get it wrong, or maybe... everything can be seen in different lights.
So you've interviewed some pretty big names. There's Cher, there's Madonna.
Mm.
Who else have you interviewed? Okay, better still let me ask
you. Name a celebrity and the chances are that I've either met them, interviewed them, or come across them somewhere, for the most part. And if I was talking to a 15-year-old, they would mention all these tickety-tock people and I'd be like, don't care. Maybe I've met them, I don't know. But it's the real people that are important to me. But, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Kylie Minogue, Tilda Swinton, Kate Winslet, Oscar winners to soap stars.
And is there anyone that you're hanging to interview?
Look, my mum died 15 years ago, and there's some people that I grew up that were sort of the soundtrack or the...
I can feel this one.
Whatever to my life. And so Cher, Madonna were sort of iconic moments for me, and I have had the opportunity to meet Cher a number of times. I still don't know if I should say Cher or Cher, because when I met her, I was so busy just being excited to be in her presence. Bette Midler's the one woman, one person on the planet that I would literally be deceased if I met. Not in a fawning fan girl sort of way. I just think she is such an incredible person. I think her impact on life, society, her voice, the way she uses her voice, she's unafraid, fearless. I think she's an incredible person. A lot of her views align with my personal views, which is not important to my journalism, but in terms of meeting her. But I just think she's extraordinary. Jane Fonda, I've met her, and I think she's awesome. I've got to put Cyndi Lauper up there in the same category as Madonna and Cher and Jane Fonda and these people, because she's probably had a less credit for what she's done, but is one of the greatest artists in my mind of all time. She's an activist. She's an incredible human. So These are things that mean things to me.
Let's go back to entertainment reporting because it's very.
I thought we were talking about food today.
We'll get there.
Where's
We'll get
the
there.
food?
It's coming. But let's talk about entertainment reporting because it's closely aligned with celebrity.
Yeah.
So obviously, over the decades, celebrity has changed. The notion and how we see it has changed. So would entertainment reporting? What is the difference between entertaining reporting when you first starting and entertainment reporting now?
Well, for a difference, 25 years. So a lot less grey hairs, and look, I was younger and naiver, and I didn't know what I was doing back then. So I don't know what I'm doing now. But it's different. The internet changed everything. To be honest with you, if you look at the algorithms of what stories do well and what stories don't do well on our websites here in Australia, and I'm no expert, but from my experience, if I interviewed some big name celebrity, people aren't gonna click on it just because it's a big name celebrity, because they can feast on that information everywhere, all around the world. That celebrity, Madonna's done 50 interviews before she's spoken to Australia, even if she's only doing 2 Australian interviews. So what they want to know is they want to know real stories from people. They want to know if Madonna talks about Vegemite, Madonna talks about, having a holiday in Australia. They want to know really local information about them that they can relate to or understand or whatever. Otherwise, they want to hear from local celebrities and they want to hear real stories. They don't want to hear all the bullshit anymore. Back in the day, there were so many minders, there between the journalist and the celebrity. And if you asked a question that the minder didn't like, then you would never get a pass again. So a lot of journalists towed the line. And I've done that over the years too, so I'm not criticising anyone.
Do you find that you're told not to answer a question and
all
then
the
you
time.
get to the interview, it's like, I'm asking this question?
It just depends. Often they'll tell me I can't ask a question and I'm like, I wasn't going to ask that, but now I want to ask it. It depends. It depends on time. Yes, but yes is the answer.
You get the permission from the guest, don't you? There's something in your conversation where it's going, where they're kind of leading you down that one. You go, you know what? I'm going to ask.
And I believe that every person that's being interviewed should have the ability to answer the question, even if they're not answering the question. Thanks so much for asking me that. Not something I feel comfortable talking about today. Or for whatever reason, that's not something that I feel like I should go down today. So yes, I get asked every day. And the one that's annoying the absolute bejesus out of me at the moment is, can you send me through questions? No, I'm not going to send you through fucking questions before I do the interview. Like, that defeats the purpose. I don't send through the questions. I'll send them through, or over the phone, I'll send them through some talking points. I'll just say, I'm going to ask them about this, this, and this. But I won't give them specific questions. More likely than not, it's because I don't have time. I'm working on 50 other stories and I don't have time to think about what I'm going to ask them until 10 minutes before.
Let's look at your politics. Now, you spoke earlier about growing up in a lefty family.
What are you?
I'm really centre. I struggle.
No, you are not. You're a conservative.
I'm actually not conservative. My problem is I'm a Liberal. That's actually a good... Thank you for throwing that at me, Chamo.
I'm
a Liberal. I can't get off the fence.
You're wearing your Louboutin shoes with your bloody... Are they your mum's stockings? Or
they're my own, but I have to wear them with these
How
shoes.
high up do they go?
They don't go all the way up here, Jamo. They're just little cast sockets. But no, I will be honest with you.
Did you buy them in the hosiery section of David Jones? Right.
But no, I do struggle with my politics because I sit literally on the fence.
Shame on you. You need to educate yourself. Whatever way you vote, get out there and understand, because the election's happening this year.
Well, here you go. Spoken like a true lefty. So here we go. You are...
No, that's not spoken like a lefty. That's spoken like someone who's saying, I want you to educate yourself, and whatever view you have, at least have it with conviction.
But my view is
find a view.
I've got. Well, I see too many
views.
Kids.
You got 2 kids.
Well, I see so many views though, so I can't. I can never work out which is the one who was right and who was wrong. It's very confusing because it's not straight. Life is not straightforward, and you know that.
But there's fundamentals. Do you believe in equality?
Absolutely.
Do you believe in education for everyone.
But I do. But the version of the rights, right to education and equality and health is very different to the one on the left-hand side. The thing is, how did they... Well, they differ, but how... My thing is, where I struggle, JMO, is how did you on the right get to that, and how did you on the left get to that?
Because there's extreme idiots on either side, and the fact is most of us are in the middle, and most of us want everyone to live happily and healthily and whatever. Too many things have been politicized. Too much has been politicized. Look at... I don't like Donald Trump. Not a fan. He blames everything on transgender people. He blames everything. The minute anything goes wrong, he blames it on Biden. I didn't like Biden either, to be honest with you, overly. But I thought he was a better option, despite being 900. And I struggle to see how you can have a president of the United States and the leader of the free world who is a convicted felon, who thinks it's okay to grab a person on the pussy or on the ass. And that's not the world that I want my nieces to grow up in. That's not the world I want your sons to grow up in. I want people... I believe in equality. I believe that transgender people should not be politicised. It's a very small minority part of the community. It's not the main majority of the community. But people that are transgender do not hurt me. They're not trying to do anything to us. They just want to live their life, either extreme, and those people can go fuck off. But the people that are just trying to live their life, doing their business. I spoke to my boyfriend this morning, and there was that helicopter crash in Washington, and he said, "Oh, they're saying that the pilot was transgender and killed themselves, and that's how it killed all of these people." I don't know if that's the truth. I haven't done any deep diving into it yet. I will have a look. But that to me sounds like the politicising. Let's blame transgender people. Let's punch down. Let's whatever. And as a queer man, this is stuff I can't be quiet about. I don't pretend to know all of the answers. I don't have any lived experience as a trans person. But it scares me. The world that we're in today scares me. The fact is, over the week since Donald Trump was his inauguration, I've been called a faggot multiple times on the street because it's giving permission for hate to thrive, and that's not okay. And that's here in Sydney. This is why I have political views.
This leads to my next question. Like you would...
You're like... Jesus Christ, he's firing up.
No, we want you to fire up. We want you to give it to us as it is. So being a lefty, so your politics lean towards the people. It's about the people.
But I also think there's ridiculousness on the extreme left. Like I don't... So I'm centre left. I think that there is ridiculousness. A person is born... Like, I still get confused by certain parts of the conversation of gender and all of that sort of stuff. That said, it doesn't hurt me or impact me if someone says they want to be referred to by they, them. Doesn't hurt me. So therefore, to be respectful, I'll be respectful. But then the minute someone says they want to start being treated like a cat and drinking milk off the floor, then that's just fucking stupid. You're not a fucking cat. You're born a human.
Confusing? Stupid or confusing?
Stupid. But not they, them isn't stupid, because it's just like, okay, well, that doesn't, like, maybe it is if you look at it from the, you caught me there, but maybe that is true. But the line, there is a line for me, and the line is that ridiculousness of I am a human. So in my mind, I'm not a scientist, so please. But there is man, there is woman, and there is hermaphrodite. So you can be born with whatever. I'm not a scientist, so come for me. People will. But again, if someone is identifying as non-binary, gender fluid, any of these things, does it make a difference to you? And historically, in over thousands of years, throughout all sorts of many cultures, Greek and Indian and Hindu and so on. There's been multiple genders in multiple religions at different times. Again, I'm not an expert, so please don't quote me on that, but it just doesn't seem like a complicated issue for me in that sense. And I get very angry when people punch down to what is a small minority part of the community. I get equally as angry when it's punching down to immigrants, for example, that people that English isn't their first language, but they're trying to have a better life. Like, why are we punching down on these people that are trying to contribute to society? I'm equally worried about the movement to stop people having abortions. I'm pro-abortion. But I also believe that's a personal decision and up to the person that can do that.
Yeah, the individual.
If a person's been raped, if a 15-year-old kid or a 13-year-old kid's been raped by their dad or a person and they're told you've got to have the kid, I'm just like, are you kidding me? And we're heading in a society where that sort of conservatism, women's body autonomy is not being respected or looked at. And who are the people that are making these decisions? Heterosexual, white men.
What's actually better?
And they're the people that tell me that I'm a sinner and that I'm a piece of shit because I sleep in a bed with a man and have a relationship of 6+ years with a man.
Well, we go back to what you say earlier, and that's that's just stupid, and they're misunderstanding at the same time.
Yeah, but none of us. There's going to be people that don't believe what I believe in, and I don't believe in what they believe in. So I try and be respectful. I'm not religious, but I try and be respectful to all religions equally. So I love living in the suburb I live in Sydney has a lot of people of the Islamic faith. In the supermarket, they have Eid Mubarak signs, things like that. I think it's beautiful. Beautiful.
You've got some great food shops around there. And we'll get onto the food in a minute. But what I really want to know, so your politics are left-leaning.
Centre-left.
Centre-left.
So I'm in the middle, but leaning left.
Like the old fella, bit to the left. So my question to you is, how do you go working for a publication that is known to have right political tendencies?
I think News Corp does a lot of good. I think we cop a lot of stuff in that is not necessarily fair.
And you say that as a left-leaning
I also think
journalist.
I do. I also think that I have an opportunity to do a lot of good. And I think things have changed since I first started broadly across the media. People say that News Corp is conservative. So is Sydney Morning Herald. So is Nine that owns Sydney Morning Herald. It used to be more left-leaning, but it's not anymore. I feel uncomfortable having this conversation because I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to be crucified within the media for, saying things that people might think I'm not educated enough to say or whatever. That's the honest truth. I don't feel comfortable having this conversation about my employer and what's going on. But I will tell you that the Sarah and Lachlan Murdoch Foundation donated $1 million to Qtopia Sydney.
To Qtopia, that was my next question.
That they have been nothing but supportive and more supportive than I can tell you to me as a queer person than I can give words to.
Without that money, that foundation would not got off the ground.
Right. And there was a lot of anger in the queer community saying, why are you taking money from blah? In life, and I'm not referring to News Corp, but in life, I believe in change from within. And so I'd rather have a seat at the table than be a person licking the window, yelling at the window.
So as a treat, JMO, we're serving you your memories today.
Really?
But we have to, we are. But we have to pause to photograph them for socials. It's been done. Okay, so here we go. So your first food memory.
I haven't had breakfast.
Well, you're going to have lots and lots. So Ash has put together for you, Ash from my mob, my little black has put together for you your first food memory. Now, this is your Mars spaghetti bolognese.
Mum never made it this nice. It was very...
Now, my kids know, this is what a good dad I am. They know to put their napkin on their lap. Put the plate down. Thank you.
No, I want to eat it.
Yeah, of course you are. But put your napkin on your lap. What about if you spill it on yourself and then you go out and you look?
I don't care.
Well, I care for you.
To
That's
be honest,
me.
I need to wash these pants. I wore them yesterday.
Put it on and enjoy it. So your first food memory.
This could get sloppy. So
Who cares? Who cares? It's just our fancy napkinry or napery.
Napery.
So your first food memory is Mum's spag bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose this one?
We didn't have a lot of money growing up. I lived in a single-parent household. Mum was a shit-house cook. And spaghetti bolognese was... we didn't have a lot of money growing up. Mum was a single parent. Mum was a shit-house cook. Her name was Trish. She died 15 years ago, and it's my comfort food. When I think of what Mum made when I moved out of home, it's what I went to make. It's probably something that, like, it's so simple and so basic, but for me, I feel comforted. I miss my mum so much. She was my best friend, so all of these things mean...
Do you remember how she made it?
Very simply. Like, it wasn't a fancy sort of situation. And, like other people chop up the onions and do stuff all really delicately. Mum just sort of like bang, bang, bang. Mum wasn't a great cook, but I loved it. Mushrooms, onion. She'd cook the onion, a bit of garlic, some Italian herbs from the spice rack, not like cut up anything, parsley or whatever that you get fresh. And let's throw that in there, brown the onions, get the mince in, brown the mince, throw in, once it's browned, then you throw in the tomato, 2 tins of tomato, and and a tin of, a jar of whatever sauce, tomato sauce. Now that I'm fancy, I could throw in a tomato tin that has like different flavors. Like it might have a wine juice or something in there.
Have a stop and have a bit of an eat. Yeah.
So this is fancier because you've used like a veal and a beef or something like that.
Go
this isn't
you.
straight
Where
up.
did you get your?
Because now I'm older. Like you don't just use the cheapest possible meat you can. And as I was older and we had more money, like I can remember Mum cooking in this beautiful big Le Creuset pot.
What colour was the pot?
Blue.
Blue. I've got my Le Creuset plots of blue. So JMO, would she make a big batch, and how long would that last?
Yeah, we'd have it like I'd be eating it for days, and I'd have it after school. We'd have it for dinner. Like, Mum worked long hours. She was a workaholic.
What did she do? Oh, sorry. Straight to camera.
Mum was...
You don't have to eat it all.
I'm going to eat it all. Are you kidding? Mum was a teacher before I was born. And then she went back and did her master's in women's studies at Sydney Uni. And then we moved to Canberra and she worked as a bureaucrat, as a public servant. And so, yeah.
So as more money came into the family, the quality of ingredients changed.
Mum was still a shit cook. So maybe we'd throw in a caper. Definitely. Oh, sorry. Mushrooms. Sorry, not mushrooms. Kalamata olives, pitted. Love it.
In her spaghetti bolognese. Right, yeah.
Oh.
That works for
From
not
memory,
me.
but I don't... You don't do that?
Oh, my God.
No?
No.
Oh, I love a pitted Kalamata. Are you kidding?
No, but that gives it the salt, I reckon.
I'm all about the salt.
Yeah.
Pitted Kalamata olives, capers, all of that.
How's our spag bowl going for you?
Yeah, it's good. It could do with some olives, thanks.
So listen, to get to understand.
We didn't...
Go.
Definitely didn't have any of this fancy shit on the side.
Basil. We got. So to get to understand JMO is to actually understand, to know the architecture of your family and growing up. So give me Let's start from the very beginning. There was Mum.
Yeah.
Right, obviously, there was...
Mum was one of 4 kids. My grandfather, Stan, lived in... they grew up in Sydney. Mum was the youngest by about 15, 20 years. So she was like the young, naughty kid. And yeah, what do you want to know?
So
I never met my grandmother.
Never met your grandmother.
She died before I was born.
So was your grandfather a cook? Did he...
No.
No, they didn't. Food wasn't a thing for them?
He was born in 1913.
Oh my God, I love this. I love this.
Love it. I'll do anything for spaghetti bolognese. I didn't tell you I'm gluten intolerant, but I don't care because literally, I'm gluten intolerant when it suits me. So my grandfather was didn't have a lot of money. He was an SP bookie, which I think is like gambling stuff. Grew up around Bondi Junction in Sydney. So sounds rich, but wasn't. His whole thing and his whole promise and premise was to have each of his 4 children own their own home and have a university degree.
Great Australian dream.
That was the dream. So my late Uncle Barry was a pathologist. My Uncle John, who's still alive, was an architect. My Auntie Gwen, who's still alive, she was a pharmacist. And my mum was the rogue teacher. She was a teacher. That was her degree. And then she had a master's degree in women's study, which I don't actually think she finished because she had twins and single parent and whatever.
So, twins, you have a twin sister.
Yeah.
And so was Dad about?
Never met my dad. I've met him twice in my life. My mum and my dad were dating, hanging out. I don't know how serious it was. Whatever. It's kind of irrelevant. They weren't serious. She fell pregnant and they broke up. And she didn't want to have an abortion. And fortunately for me, she didn't.
She didn't. And so
my sister did try to kill me. She wrapped the cord around my neck and she slid out really quickly and I was struggling inside. But yeah,
this is
in childbirth.
Childbirth, not in real life.
Not when I was 15. I was out of my mother's vagina.
You have a twin sister.
Alison, she's incredible. She's amazing. She's wonderful. She's beautiful. She's kind. She's my best friend in the whole wide world. I love her so much. I just want to squeeze her. I don't tell her that enough at all. I talk to her every day.
Well, we're going to
She probably won't even listen. She'll be too busy. She has 4 kids herself. She's gorgeous. She's had a lot of health concerns the last year, but she's amazing. She's super mum.
But what makes her a super mum?
She's had to deal with some shit sandwiches in her life. As I said, she's got 4 kids. Her first marriage fell apart. And then she found Stu, who's incredible husband, beautiful guy. He's 9 years older than us. So he's really old. And they have 3 beautiful girls. And so my sister and I are twins. They've got twin girls, and they've got their youngest is a girl. So she's a super mum because she puts everyone else before her. She's also a teacher. She works with kids with severe disabilities. So
there's a strength. There's a real fire in her.
And she's tiny. She's 5 foot nothing, size 8, tiny woman who is a force. There's a weakness to her as well in the sense that she has been really sick the last year, which is not my story to tell, but it's she's had some autoimmune stuff going on, and so she hasn't been able to work and what have you. But she's so the work that she does as a teacher, and she's a really good mum. I wouldn't have the patience to do all the stuff that she does.
And what about extended?
I'd just be like, do your homework.
What about are there any other family members in the mix?
I know what you're getting at. So this time last year, my sister and I tracked them down. We tracked down our 2 half brothers.
Did you know they existed? Before?
It's a really long story, but in 2008, my mum was still alive. I was like, Facebook is starting. to take off. I'll have a little look around and see, because I had an inkling that I might have, like, let me see if I've got siblings. So I tracked down my biological father, tracked down what was going on in his social media, saw that he had 2 boys. And so I messaged them. And the long story short is, last year, James sent me a message saying, "Hey, mate, sorry it took me so long to get back to you."
How many years?
Well, from 2008 to 2025. 2024. It's a few years.
So it's a couple,
16,
couple of trips around the sun.
Yeah, 16 odd years, whatever it is. And
Sorry,
Jane-
mate. Yeah, sorry, mate.
sorry, mate, I couldn't. How are you?
Did you see that coming?
I was sitting at my desk at home. I was working from home. And I saw something ping up, and I was like, oh, that doesn't, whatever. And then about half an hour later, I went and checked my Facebook messages. I'm old. I'm a man of a certain age, so that I do still have Facebook, whatever. And it was that message. And so I pinged him back, and then we pinged and pinged and pinged and pinged and pinged. We're like, should we jump on the phone? So then that week we jumped on the phone, clicked immediately, and the rest is history. So then a few weeks later, I drove to Canberra. They both live in Canberra. We grew up within like 2 suburbs of each other.
And you didn't know each other?
Well, I sort of had it. They're 10 years younger than us, and we had an inkling. But, you know, things like James did work experience or teach. He studied to be a teacher, didn't go into the teaching profession, but he did his practical or whatever it was at the school that my sister was the deputy principal at.
Like sliding door Gwyneth Paltrow moments.
Things like that. But we didn't know. And right now, they are 2 amazing blokes. Really great, lovely, gorgeous people. And
so they're an addition. They're a good addition to the fabric. They came to my niece's 21st in November. James spent Christmas abroad with his beautiful partner, and so but Rob and his partner, gorgeous partner, they came to my sister's on Boxing Day. It's just been beautiful. When you first met them, realizing that you'd never come across these people before, did you actually? Was there a sense, a feeling of siblingness?
Yes.
There was immediately.
And then we asked someone to take a photo. It's a famous cafe in Canberra called Tilly's, and we asked someone to take a photo, and they're like, "Are you guys related?" And all of us were like, "We are. We're just meeting for the first time." That was the first time we met, and that photo I cherish. For Christmas, James and Rob printed that photo, and I have it on the wall. I don't even have photos of my mum around the house at home because it's too painful. I'm just not good at it, but I have that photo at home.
What's in finding other pieces of your life?
The whole life was, my sister's had more health concerns than I have, but our whole lives, anytime you go to a doctor, well, she's not had more health concerns. I've had more mental health concerns. But our whole lives, anytime we go and see a doctor, they're like, "Oh, does that run in the family? Do you know about that? What's your history? Blah, blah, blah." We have no idea.
So now you've got the other half of the story.
Now we can have half of that story. When my sister's been dealing with her autoimmune stuff, is that linked to that side of the family? No, it's not. It just happens to be a thing. But we've got people we can ask. Through Ancestry.com, actually, before I met our brothers,
The brothers. Is that how they were known for a while? The brothers?
We called them the brothers. Now we call them our brothers, but yeah, the brothers. I told them I love them. I went on Ancestry.com and pieced together. I didn't know if I had an aunt. I didn't know if I had an uncle. I didn't know what my grandparents' names were. I didn't know cousins. I didn't know any of that. Whereas on my grandfather's side, on my mum's side, I can trace it back hundreds of years to when we came to Australia.
Did you feel a sense of loyalty towards your mum or holding back this other side of your family because your mum did such a wonderful singular job of bringing you up?
Not at all, because mum was always supportive of, whatever. That was never an issue, and mum would have been thrilled. Mum would have loved both of the brothers and would have loved both of their partners, and she would just
she would have welcomed them.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
So that's where you get it from.
I don't know if I don't know. Am I? Do
Yep,
I?
Yep, you do. You're being coy.
No, people think I can be quite. I don't know, but yeah, she would have just loved them. Mum always had a durry in her mouth, smoking a ciggy, having a coffee. She would have just sat there. Mum loved to talk politics. She loved to talk about life and everything. She loved to see things. And
I want to reminisce a bit. What are the durries that your mum smoked?
Winnie Blues.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, Winnie Blues.
And where would she keep the lighter? Would she keep it on top of the packet or in between the plastic and the packet? You know, that used to...
On the packet.
On the packet.
But when I was a kid, we didn't have money, so she used to have the rollies, and she had that metal tin. So it was the tobacco, and she'd put the thing in there.
That ceremony of... I mean, I know cigarettes are not good for us, but that ceremony of sitting there and putting it on your lap and holding it...
I've never been a smoker, but it has never offended me. Obviously, I don't... It's not something I would encourage anyone to do at all. But yeah,
we were talking the other day as children. We used to make in pottery classes. We used to make ashtrays for our parents.
Yeah,
do you remember all that? And there used to be all that memorabilia lying around of Smith's crisps. There used to be the red glass with the inlay of that. All that is gone. I mean, thankfully, but it's such a part of our life. That's just.
If only we had kept all of that, we could have made a pretty penny.
We're going to move on to your second food memory, Ash. She ready? Yeah. We're going to move on to your second food memory. Now, this is hot pot.
Okay.
Why?
When you asked me for my food memories, I wasn't sure how far you wanted me to go back. But I spent my life thinking I would never find someone.
Why?
Because I didn't think I was worthy of finding someone. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think... one thing that my mum said to me when I was younger, the day that I came out, was that life's going to be tough.
Did your mum have gay friends?
My mum had experimented with her sexuality. Mum had girlfriends when I was younger. But yes, definitely.
So you took on that programming, life as a gay man is going to be tough.
Well, but it was tough. I also came out at a time where HIV was still a thing and it was still a death sentence in our minds.
Okay, interrupting. Hold on to that. We're coming in for your hot pot. This is a little hot pot that we've made for you, JMO. Look at this. Now, we've made it the way you like it. Very little chili.
This is much better than the one my boyfriend makes me have.
Have you? I hope you've signed a prenup.
No, he actually wants to do a prenup, but I don't.
After that comment.
I'll try it in a second. So the backstory, where were we at?
No, so you came out at a time where AIDS was still a thing. And
AIDS was still a thing, and I had friends that died of AIDS, and I had other friends that killed themselves because they had HIV. AIDS,
so we're talking the very early 90s. You would have just been out of high school.
I came out at 95.
Yeah.
So it was at the end wave of things, but it was still very much...
It's when the drug technology changed.
Yeah. I was so young, I didn't know what was going on, but I had one particular friend, Hamish, who it had progressed to AIDS and he killed himself. And I'll never... it was a death sentence. So for me, that combined with feeling like, it was, gay marriage wasn't legal. Many people's views were that if you're gay, that's fine as long as you don't do it in front of me, whatever that means. We're not going to go and have anal sex down the street in front of people. It wasn't...
They're just that visual.
Yeah. But, don't do it in front of me. What do you mean by do it? Hold hands? Show any form of affection to someone that you love? Sure, there were lovely moments, but gays were for Mardi Gras, and that was the one time of the year
one day that you're allowed to be.
And so it was pretty traumatic. And so I spent my whole life, because of various things, searching for... wanting to be good enough, whatever. And I met Alex, who happens to be Chinese, Australian, and He refuses to eat. He hates Western food. Likes Italian, but literally 90% of the food that we eat is Chinese.
So he won't go to the pub on a Tuesday night for a $12 steak and frites?
No chance. No chance.
Is he a good cook?
And if we do, we will go home and he will then order 5 dishes of anything. He needs to have multiple dishes to choose from, things like that.
So you've actually come out of the shit bucket with a gold coin for many reasons with Alex. One of the things is he has a real thing about food. So you get to see the best.
It's amazing. If I had to choose one particular cuisine, if I could only choose that for the rest of my life, it would be Chinese, because there are so many and there are so many amazing different types. But sometimes I just want spag bowl, and he doesn't like spag bowl.
So does he cook 2 sets of?
He does. I don't let him cook because he's so messy. So we do takeaway every night.
So you must have a good repertoire of places to go, and
I just let him order. He knows what I like. I like the same things over and over again. I love my salt and pepper prawns. I love the beans with the mince and the little bit of chili.
Oh, yum, the pork.
Love those. There's a few dishes. I love the egg with the tomato sort of soupy dish. And I've grown, it took me a very long time, I've grown to love and crave hot pot. Now, hot pot comes in all various forms. So let's, for the instance of this conversation, group it all in. Malatang is a form of hot pot, for example, and it goes gangbusters.
Did you know this before you met Alex?
No, I had no idea. Would never have gone into... No, absolutely not. But the Malatang food was like basically the street food in China, where they'd pull together the scraps and you'd throw it in a soup, pull it in a bowl and cook it with soup. So, and hot pot is the traditional hot pot in Sichuan style, is that you have a big boiling pot, center, communal. Everyone cooks their food in the pot in the middle. Love it. I prefer to cook my own pot though, because they all cook. Alex and all of his friends, that's what I mean by they, always go for really spicy soup.
And you're not one for chili. I hope we haven't put any chili in this one for you.
No, it's great.
So this one we've made with your favourite things: tomato, mushroom, shallots. Look at that. Oh, look at that mushroom. Go you.
Look at these little enoki mushrooms.
Little enoki.
Enoki, sorry. Well, I'm not...
So along with Alex, not only do you get this food literacy, this sort of, soiree, that you get this entry into a new style of cuisine, but you find love, and you find something that you thought you never would have.
He's amazing. I love him.
And then you found something that you thought you weren't worthy of. When did you kind of go, you know what, fuck this, I actually deserve, I'm having this, I'm taking away this filet mignon, I'm taking away this love and having it in my life?
I'm a work in progress, and if I suffer from depression, and I suffer from depression pretty badly, so I'm highly medicated. So there are days that I still don't feel worthy. That said, I instantly knew when I met Alex that it was just right.
So all that programming of, it's going to be hard, did you let it go?
Before that, I was just seeking sex and instant gratification.
And what were you getting from the sex apart from gratification? Were you getting was there any connection?
Emptiness. Just having random sex with multiple different people a week, desperate for someone to give me just some minor desperate.
Like what did you want them to give you? What did you want from them?
Affection.
Right. But
validation.
And not that I'm speaking from experience, but a lot of those situations, you don't get any of that. It's just transactional.
Well, you come, you get an orgasm.
And then you wipe it off and
like
close.
Shit.
Yeah.
You feel like shit.
Yeah. So at what point did you go, you know what, I don't want this anymore?
I met Alex. Had I not met Alex, I would have kept going.
How did you meet Alex?
He thinks Grindr and I think Tinder.
Oh, so there are options.
Now, I know that I was at a point where I was like, I'm not just looking for a fuck. I want to be more like, how do I find someone to date?
And what got
that's
you to
why
that?
I think it's Tinder.
And what?
But he says he was never on Tinder. He says he was never on Tinder. And I'm like, well, I was.
So basically we're saying if you want hookups, you go to Grindr. If you're looking for something serious, head over to Tinder. And this podcast was sponsored by...
I'm just this little piggy eating.
No, please, I'm quite enjoying it. I'm putting it all together. It's all very new to me.
Bullshit. Young, innocent you out in the bushes giving gobbies.
All right, that bit we'll edit. No, we won't. We'll keep it in. Yeah, okay. So when you met Alex and you looked at him and you went, okay, gotcha.
It wasn't how he looked. He's handsome. He's very handsome. He's very well put together. He's beautiful. But he's smart, and he's...
Is it the way he looked at you back? Is it what he gave you back?
He says that he looked at me in a confused way and that I just interviewed him as a journalist.
Which you do, actually. I remember the first time I met you all those decades ago.
And I don't mean to.
But it's kind of part of your getting to know you. It's that little kind of courting dance that you do with people, not just...
So I sat there and I interviewed him. It was a cafe on Crown Street. I just felt comfort. I don't think I knew that it was instantly, this is a guy I'm going to spend my life with. But I knew that this wasn't... We didn't have sex for a while. It felt right. So, yeah.
What does Alex think of you, do you think?
He thinks I'm nuts and annoying. He thinks I'm annoying.
But
he also can't live without me.
I was just about to say.
He literally can't live without me. He doesn't know how to use the washing machine. He doesn't know how to use the dryer. He doesn't know how to use the dishwasher. Doesn't know how to make a bed. Doesn't know how to fold his clothes. He doesn't know where to find his keys. He is a highly successful criminal defense lawyer. But he's useless as tits on a bull half the time.
So these are all skills you learnt from mum?
Yeah, I'm a nurturer. I like to care for him.
So in another life, I'm thinking you could have been a nurse.
Wouldn't want to wipe people's asses.
I reckon you would.
No, wouldn't want to. No.
So what happens when a white Anglo culture merges with the Chinese culture? What do we get? What do we get on the hearth?
Oh shit. Hang on, I'm gonna drink the soup. What do we get? It can be tough sometimes. There's cultural differences. Alex has lived here for 18 odd years. There can be communication stuff that's difficult. But we have a mixed house. He's more of a modern aesthetic. I'm more sort of antique-y and eclectic. We've just sort of melded our lives together, and it's great.
I spoke earlier about your devotion to animals, great and small. You're quite active with wires.
Yes.
Now, you physically go out on the field and finish the sentence.
Are we talking about Grindr again? Or
no, we're back with
So I volunteer for Wires, and I signed up with Wires, which is a native animal rescue organisation here in New South Wales, and there's different organisations all across the country. After those horrendous bushfires a few years ago, and I was like, what do I do? I love animals. I want to do something. This isn't about giving money, but I want to be helping, and that's how it came about. So I did all the training, and to be honest, my life is very busy. And so I dive in and I dive out of it. So sometimes I'm really active and other times I'm not really active. It's a beautiful community of amazing people, and I've made some lifelong friends in there. I'm officially on our branch because Sydney is broken up into several branches, and we basically, self-fund ourselves and do all that sort of stuff. I'm the official co-fundraising coordinator, which I'm quite proud of the work that we've done there, myself and Natalie.
And how do you raise money? Like cake stores?
Grassroots. We used to do cake stores. I did the bloody... I won't say where, but those barbecues you do at the department stores, and you literally stand there schlepping around for 8 hours, and you literally will make, $100. So I'm like, bugger that. So the last couple of years, we've made, tens of thousands of dollars, which for us is, we're not the Gold Foundation of Sydney Children's Hospital, but has really helped. And I organise a raffle each year with some good prizes. Virgin's donated, different various Ovolo hotels, Intercon, different people have been very generous to donate prizes, and we've sold raffle tickets. And last year, in our year, we made tens of thousands of dollars, and I was thrilled.
So snakes, you have how many pet snakes?
I'm the co-coordinator for fundraising, and I'm the snake coordinator for my branch.
And how many snakes you keep?
So I have 4 snakes that live with me. And
you have to have a license to keep snakes at home?
And I have 1 snake that is in care at the moment. So I have 5.
And what type of snakes are they?
4 of them are pythons of different varieties.
Do they play together?
No, they're all in different enclosures. And you have to be really careful of contamination and so on, that you don't bring diseases in, because I've got snakes that I keep permanently, and then other snakes that come in, so you have to keep them separately. And, it's not just a matter of...
And how does one keep a pet snake? Like, do you bring them out and play with them? I mean, obviously you can't... They're not cats and dogs.
I bring them out, and I have these... You get them at Kmart. I have these... what are they called? Like playpen things that have a top to it. So I bring them out in the sun on a weekend, let them each have their own little...
Do they know who you are? Do you think?
Snakes aren't particularly affectionate, no. I don't hold them as much as I should do, because the more you hold them, the more they become aware of who you are, and the more, used to being handled they are. But I have 3 dogs. One of them, which is a small Chihuahua, which Elizabeth is 2 meters long snake, would definitely be able to eat Lotus, the Chihuahua. And so it's not, I can't just sit around. But often people will sit there with their snakes wrapped around them, sitting watching TV on the couch or whatever. They're beautiful animals. They are beautiful animals. And so there's 4 pythons, and the other one is a brown tree snake, which they call, the non-scientific name is a night tiger, and they're mildly venomous.
We're in the year of the snake. How do you feel?
Love it.
Love it?
I love the year of everything. I really embrace I love the year of snake, because I think snakes are just these exquisite, beautiful animals, and I understand why people are scared of them, but they are beautiful. I don't want to be bitten by a red-bellied black snake. I don't want to be bitten by a brown
Have you been bitten by a snake?
I've been bitten by pythons, but not by...
What does it feel like? What do? They just go in and out? Like they snap?
Yeah. They've got big teeth, and they...
Is it exactly like that?
Depends where they get you. Sometimes it's a dry bite, which doesn't have... If it's a venomous snake, you're not always going to get venom envenomated, but...
envenomated?
Yeah, it could be a dry bite, which is just like a get away from me. But a bite feels like, I guess, depends how big the fangs are, but it could feel like a sharp pointed knife.
Okay, let's go to your third food memory.
Sorry, the other... Yes.
Yeah, no.
What does it feel like? No, but I haven't been bitten by any serious baddies.
Okay, well, we can go to your third food memory now, where I feel safe.
We also say that everyone is always like, are they aggressive? Are they blah, blah, blah? We say, no, I wasn't going there either. We like to say defensive. People are very scared of snakes. I want people to take away from this. If you see a snake out there anywhere, leave it alone. Don't go at it with a shovel. Don't do anything. Just leave it alone, and it'll leave you alone. Because people are stupid, and people get bitten when they're being extra stupid. So leave the snakes alone. The snakes will leave you alone.
Okay, I really do want to go on to your third food memory now. I want to leave the snakes over there locked up. Now, your third food memory...
I'm really excited about this food memory.
Now, I actually need to give you some very, very sad news. So let's just talk about your third food memory. Your third food memory is... let's call it a 70s, 80s, actually late 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s institutional dessert.
So 80s for me.
Right. So it was made by a company called Mr. Pizza, and they were a selection of Mr. Pizza ice creams. I've actually got them all here, JMO. Look, here they are. They're Mr. Pizza manufactured ice creams. And
I'm disappointed this isn't in colour. I love This makes me feel so much joy seeing this picture. And when I've been trying to find this.
So you know the organisation is shut down, literally shut down in January 2025. So it's closed down because it's no longer relevant. Having said that, no, we don't eat desserts like this anymore. So tell us about Mr. Pizza desserts.
So in the olden days,
The 80s.
mum, being a single parent, had a best friend, Judy, who is still I call her my second mum, but also my best friend. And Mum and Jude used to, on occasion, let's say it was once a month, but it might have been weekly, whatever, we'd go to this very low-key, inexpensive family Italian restaurant in Leichhardt called Marion's. If anyone's watching and remembers Marion's, send me some info because I have so many thoughts of that beautiful little place. And I would eat the spag bowl, and my sister would eat the spaghetti with carbonara, and Mum and Jude would sit there and just talk and talk. I can't remember if they smoked inside. Judy didn't smoke, I'm sure. I don't think Mum ever was a smoker inside. I think she was. I'm pretty sure she wasn't. But the dessert was the treat, right? And we didn't get treats back then. Like if we were lucky to get a treat, we had those things where you had a container at home that you'd put a stick in.
Yeah.
And it was frozen.
Frozen, cordial.
Yeah. But not even cordial. Like we would have had whatever the cheapest of cheap thing was. So anyway, these desserts were a selection. They'd have it on the wall. They'd have it in the menu. I think they had a separate menu and it was sitting on the table. And I would always choose the same one. My twin sister Alison would always choose the same one.
What would she choose?
She would choose the lemon one.
In the lemon.
It comes in a lemon, like an actual lemon.
And it was dug out.
They dug out the lemon and then they'd have lemon sorbet inside. And then I would get the Passion Delight, which was basically passion fruit ice cream. That was a ball, and it was, like a shape of a Christmas pudding. So not quite a ball, like sort of a ball, but sort of flat on the bottom.
So a passion fruit ice cream coated.
But it was covered in a thin layer of chocolate, like when you go to the movies and they have those. You go to the movies and they have choc tops. And then they'd stick a little fake green leaves,
minty
two leaves on
ears. Top. So do you think? So
and it was delicious.
So is this because you didn't get treats and this was a treat? Do you think this was Mum buying extra time at the table so she could hang out with Judy and chew the fat?
Well, so my sister and I would eat our ice cream, would keep us, I'm sure. The good thing about having twins, as you know, with your twin boys, is that my sister and I kept each other entertained. And with my sister's girls, they keep each other entertained as well and did when they were younger and what have you. So we were pretty good. But we would be tired after school. They would be sitting there and talking for hours, and Mum and Jude would just want to keep talking. And so my sister and I would eat our dessert, and then I remember they'd have 2 seats for each of us, and we'd lie across each of those seats, and we'd fall asleep. And Mum would carry one of us, and Jude would carry the other one of us, and put us in the car and drive us home once we'd finished dinner and whatever. Because we probably had our kiddies pasta and our kiddies dessert before they'd even been served their main course. So
Mr. Pizza has closed. You know that they closed in January. So sort of 4 decades, 5 decades of 6 decades, 7 decades.
Close?
Well, I guess it's just the relevance of it and the fact that we don't eat desserts like this anymore. Having said that, Lucia, who works with me, who actually saves my life, found the last passion fruit ice cream in Sydney. She dug around and found it. So we've got it to serve.
No.
We absolutely do. This is the last one you will ever have. Look, and here it is. Look
So
at
this is a Mr. Pizza one?
This is literally the last Mr. Pizza one that you'll find in Sydney, and you're having it live. Off you go, J-Mo. Get excited. Thank you, Ash.
Oh, my God.
Look at that. Is that... Well, it probably didn't come as fancy as that.
This is way too fancy. Oh, my God. Where's my phone? I need to take a photo of
Well,
this.
Ash
I know you've taken a photo, but I need to take a photo to send my sister. She's going to be deceased. She's going to be literally like... I don't care that we're recording a podcast while we're doing this. I'm going to do it. Okay.
Chin up.
Because we were messaging in our family WhatsApp chat about, I was like, how do I find this ice cream? What's it called? Blah, blah, blah. We had all this, in the lead up to this, we're having all this reminiscing about having...
Oh, it's really, is it, you're getting through? Oh, there it goes.
But they'd keep it in the deep freezer.
Rock solid.
And it was rock solid. So this is much...
But I don't think you got it with, pure passion fruit and raspberries and fresh mint. How does it feel?
Oh.
Are you back there with your sister and Jude and your mama?
That chocolate.
Actually, I want a little bit. Bring it closer. No, I just want the chocolate.
Right, okay. Well...
Oh, my God.
Let's start a business where we bring back Mr. Pizza.
Mr. Pizza. I think everyone would love... I think the posters... I think we should make T-shirts with Mr. Pizza posters. Or T-shirts out of Mr. Pizzas.
Yeah.
Pizzas. You know the interesting thing? I do remember them at weddings and functions, especially when we were invited to the Italian ones. And as a dessert, you just knew you were either going to get this one, the half rock melon. The cassata was always the favourite, and we used to pronounce it cicada. You didn't like that one?
I wasn't into the rock melon.
And then there was the Barchi Kiss, which was a bit of a donut that had a hazelnut right at the top of it. And then there was one that was with nougat in it, I remember. But this was very popular.
I only had eyes for the passion delight.
The passion fruit.
Jock, who's producing right now. Sorry, mate, but I'm not sharing this.
It's not going anywhere. So as you're enjoying that, I want to let's talk about your book, Mental as Anyone, that's coming out in July.
Okay, I actually need to correct you only because, and I'm not correcting you.
You gave me the
I
wrong
got the
information.
date. No, I got the date yesterday. It's coming out on June 25.
Hurry up, quick sticks. Go back home and write.
It's written.
It's written.
I need to do a couple of little correction things. I'm going through the editing process. But I'm not precious. I'm like, yeah, make the changes, do whatever you need to do.
So this book is it's a memoir meets self-help being published by Wiley. I want to know something. What's the minimum age entry point for one to memoir themselves?
I started off writing this book during COVID as a way of going, well, I don't want to waste, we're being forced to take leave, and I don't want to waste leave sitting at home doing nothing. So I started, it's been brewing in my back of my mind. So it never really started as a memoir. It was just stories that have happened through life and what am I going to do with it? And people always say, you should do a book about the celebrities you've interviewed. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the celebrities I've interviewed. Like,
Why don't you give a fuck about them?
Because I've told the story. The story was I interviewed them. They said what they wanted to say about the movie. And then we moved on. And then the celebrity stories that I do want to tell are in the book.
Right.
So Carrie Fisher's in there, the late great Carrie Fisher. The legend that is Michael Bublé is in there. There's a bit on Madonna. There's a few bibs and bobs. But, these people aren't my best friends. They're people that I encounter for work. And the story that I wanted to tell was the truth. I didn't want to go in there writing this lollipop story about, here I am living this life, interviewing celebrities. When behind the scenes, I was broken to the point of being so broken, it's a miracle I'm alive.
How did you keep it together?
I don't know. Drugs. I took a lot of drugs. Drank a lot.
Was there any fun?
So the book is a memoir, and it's all my stories from being sexually abused to being to dealing with depression and suicidal and all of that. And then there's palate cleansers of
So we get
some
hope.
celebrity stories.
We get
absolute hope.
There's hope.
Look at me now, thriving.
I know, smashing the last passion fruit, Mr. Pizza, you'll ever have in your life. And I'm so glad it was me that brought it to you. So let's talk about your mental health for a second. At what point did you realise that your normal state of being was not normal? Houston, we have a situation.
My mum was bipolar. So I grew up visiting her in and out of hospital. She used to have ECT, electric convulsive therapy, which is pretty intense, where they'd give you electric jolts to your brain.
Do they still do that therapy?
Yep.
Is it effective?
Yeah. It's great. People are scared of it because they think they're like whatever, but no, it's great. I've never had it, but I would if I needed to. But I spent a lot of time in and out of visiting mum at that stuff. I tried to kill myself when I was 19, and that's when I had my first big breakdown. And that's when I first went on medication, and that's when...
Is that because the pressure of that feeling was just too great to bear, and there was no other option?
There were so many contributing factors. It was being abused. It was not confronting my abuser, seeing my abuser on the street, not knowing what to do, fundamentally believing that life would be better for everyone around me if I wasn't in it.
So has your mental health ever felt like it's not your own, like you're wearing somebody else's jacket? Like, you ready to chocolate? I'm trying to get, and look at you just having sensations with the ice cream, and we can finish it.
Yum. Thank you. That
My
was
pleasure.
amazing. Look, we all wear masks. I wear a mask every day. If I'm not happy but I need to get my shit together, I get in there and I tap dance my supper. Yeah, so yes. I think everyone would be lying if they said they hadn't. Is everyone depressed? No. But everyone has to adapt to different situations in their life. My official diagnosis, I don't even know what the bloody hell it is anymore, but it's extreme PTSD, extreme depression, traits of this and traits of that, and I'm on the ADHD spectrum as well, whatever that means. So I have ADHD. So yeah, there's a lot of contributing factors. So I think some of it's chemical imbalance. I think some of it is life things that have happened to you. And I don't carry any shame anymore about talking about it, because I wear my life as a suit of armour.
So it's no surprise that your social cause is a mental health organisation called Gotcha for Life.
Yeah, so Gus Wallen started that. He's a broadcaster, media identity, sports guy, just a legend. Hugh Jackman is the patron and best mates with Gus. And basically Gus was driven, this became his life purpose to do this because a friend didn't survive. And so he was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to this. So him and his gorgeous wife started the organisation, and it's about conversations. It's about helping people when they're feeling alone. So it's not going around and, like a soup kitchen, but they do sessions with people. They talk to youth. They talk to the majority, 7 to 9 people. 7 out of the 9 people that kill themselves each day in Australia are men. So they're talking to the men mostly that are most vulnerable of taking their own life.
So of the organisation, Gus says, I want a society where we can help when life gets challenging, where we can build an open and honest relationship and feel comfortable expressing ourselves no matter what. So no one has to worry alone.
So you have to wonder why 7 out of 9 people that kill themselves are men each day. Is that because men are less likely to talk about their feelings? I don't know. Is it? Is it because men are expected to be the breadwinners traditionally and whatever?
Have we overestimated men's capacity to deal with life, do you think, JMO?
I've met a lot of useless men, so yeah, probably. So there's a lot of things. So we need to have those conversations. And there's a million organisations that contribute to this. Are you okay? Etc. I chose Gotcha for Life because I think Gus is a hugely inspiring person. He's written the foreword for my book, and I like him, and I think he's does good stuff. So I was like, may as well pick that one.
I looked at the work that Gotcha for Life do online. It's quite extensive, and it.
You probably know more than I do.
Yeah,
to be honest. I'm like,
mental, and it just made me think that mental organisations and community centres like this have taken the place of the church in a way. Like they've. Do you think
it's a really good point. I hadn't thought of it that way. Well, I mean,
do you think we've lost
community? Yes.
Faith in ourselves?
I think some of us have lost faith in ourselves. Or some people have lost faith in themselves. No, I think, though, as society changes, I haven't thought about this before, so I'm processing it as you're saying it. I think it brings people together. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe you are right. I don't know. But I don't think it's as simple as that. I don't believe in God because I don't believe there is a physical God up there.
Well, let's look at what
doing
church
whatever.
Communities did and what these mental health organisations are doing. They're creating communities and spaces of belonging.
Yeah.
So we would go, or communities would go to church, temple, whatever it was, and the one thing that they had in common was their worship. These mental health organisations, which there are a lot of who are doing brilliant work, they're coming together because these people want to come together and make themselves good again.
I think, without being critical of any particular religious denomination, I have always felt judged in a religious sense. You're not good enough, you're not this, you don't fit this, these are the rules, this is what you need to fit into. The mental health organisations that I've aligned with don't come with any judgment. We love you as you are. Whereas my experience, my lived experience of
Places of worship
have been, we love you as long as you abide by this.
By these rules.
That answers your question in
Perfectly.
a roundabout way.
No, that actually answered it perfectly.
I don't feel judged. And there's a lot of places in society that I feel judged and we feel judged. Not just churches or religious organisations.
We have an MFK Fisher serve it forth tradition here at Three Food Memories, where our previous guest serves our current guest a dish. Now, our previous guest was Italian.
I'm so full.
No. There's no more food here.
Okay.
Our previous guest, Italian supermodel and public figure, Fabio Mancini, serves you a lasagna, but a speciale lasagna, and I don't think you're going to like this one. Of his dish, Fabio says, I want to be very elegant. I want to cook some very, very good lasagna, but not with the tomatoes, but with some spicy, very, very spicy, a sauce maybe of mixed vegetables. So a veggie lasagna, but with an in-depth space with lots of chili.
I don't mind chili. I just don't want, like, you've seen those Chinese Sichuan chili hot pots that are literally thousands of chili, like so chili that it's
They'd blow your head off.
Like there's no point if you can't taste any of the food. I like a bit of chili.
So you'd like Fabio's
I think I'd give it a
vegetable
crack.
spicy lasagna?
Absolutely.
No, whatever. So
and it's also what you have it with, because you'd probably have it with a nice salad or some other
he would have it with
something.
a salad for
Yeah.
you. Absolutely. Now, this is your opportunity. You've asked me a few questions in this interview, but this is your opportunity to ask me a question. What would you like to know?
I mean, you've answered a lot of my stuff. You've answered anything that I've wanted to ask throughout. So I don't feel like there's anything very much pressing unsaid between us. That said, from the outside looking in, I look at you as a person that juggles many hats, as a person that has a million things going on, that is working very hard, doing a lot. You've launched this for multiple reasons. One of them is because you're seeking, I'm telling you what the reason is. You're seeking external validation for the great work that you've done over your career. One of them is, don't be offended. I'm being brutally honest with you. One of them is you're sharing, in getting that validation, you're sharing the extraordinary wealth of information you've done over your career. And third is you're an extraordinary conversation person. And so all of those things come together really brilliantly. But I do think that you'd be lying, as would I, if there wasn't an element of it wanting to I'm good at this. So I'm good at those conversations. I'm good at bringing food and conversation together. Is probably what I mean more about external validation. That wasn't my question. My question for you was...
Yes, caller.
You have two beautiful boys. They're 10?
10.
Twins?
Twins.
Now, I know many guests have asked you about, surrogacy and being a single dad and all of that sort of stuff. But I am truly fascinated by the juggle. I'm fascinated because life is tough. And I'm selfish. I wanted to be desperate. I desperately wanted to be a dad. Desperately. And I tried IVF with a girlfriend and we did it over many, many, many times. But it wasn't the path that we found. And in my truth since then, I've really dissected myself and why and what it would have looked like had I become a dad. And I know I would have been a great dad, but I also think now, I'm like, shit, you have to be really selfless. So you're successful at this. This is an excellent...
Thank you.
Podcast, but it's not a podcast. It's a video cast, a podcast. This is an excellent vehicle. How do you juggle that with your business, which is also hugely successful? You're off to London tomorrow.
Yes.
You're off to blah. How do you do all this?
I'm ambidextrous.
And give time for your kids.
Well, at the centre of my world are Leo and Dane. That's just how it is. And I have a huge responsibility. So when I chose to be a parent, I had to really work out what that was about. What was more important? Was it finding someone to do it with, or was it just to be a parent? And I didn't have to look far. I looked to my father and my brother, and I looked at what the male members of my tribe do and their parents. And when I looked at what I belonged to and what I was part of, it was a natural progression for me. So Leo and Dane are the centre of my world. I wake up to them. If I can't hear them breathing at night, I wake up and I give them a shake, or I stick a needle into them. I literally do stick a needle into them to make sure that they're still awake and breathing, because there's never a mirror at hand. But I have a huge sense of responsibility to their life now and where they are at now. And I also have a real sense of making sure they're good for the inevitable, for the day that I'm not here. So, I mean, you think of what mum was to you when she was around and what she provided as a source. So for me, choosing to bring them in this world, I also have to make sure that they're good when I'm not in this world. So everything that I do is for them. I do check in. I have little conversations with myself. So I check in with myself if, let's just say I'm dating someone and he does something that is kind of not right, but you know what, I tolerate it. And then I think to myself, what advice would I give Leo and Dane if that was happening to them? And then I quickly know what to do. So they're a really good barometer for me, but that's how I juggle it. That's what it is. I chose to bring them here. I mean, I've always said that they choose you, but really I'm the one who, the decisions to bring them here was mine. So therefore that never stops. And I think for any parent, and I can, so I do. And that's that simple.
Do you want the white picket fence with your two boys and your
Wouldn't it be
husband?
great? Look, wouldn't it be great? Yes. I don't know if I want it white, though. I'd like it a little bit open, maybe a shrub or something with a little bit of layering just to kind of keep it real. I'm not very Stepford. But At the end of the day, when I do see couples, and when I do see couples who parent together, whether they're their own or whatever, just the fact that one looks at the other, it's just that knowing look. That's what I would like. That someone to give me that knowing look and go, all right, you need a cup of tea. Actually, you know what I need to do? I need to get you the fuck out of here because you're about to explode and do some serious damage. So I have to do a lot of self-regulation. And I think a partner would be great.
We've spoken a lot about my mental health today. How do you juggle your mental health? You seem to have your shit together.
Yeah, when stuff happen, when you get those curveballs, I've trained myself to realize it's actually not about that particular moment. It's something that I've stored because my reaction to things are physical, and it feels like that I've stored a previous trauma somewhere in my body. So I might get an itch, my knee might hurt, I can't walk on my feet, something for me. So I really listen to my body. And so if something is happening to me right now, it's actually not that thing that is happening right now. It's a triggering something that happened before. So I make myself go back and find out what am I triggering here? So I go back a lot. And the older I get and the stronger I get, and I'm not perfect. I've got flaws just like anyone else.
But you don't seem to lack confidence.
Oh, I did. But if I get better at going further and further back and looking at it and not being scared of it because it's not going to hold me back anymore. I've got this future in front of me. And like Joanna Lumley said about the future, you just have to have hope because there's no other option. No matter what's going on, I always look for the light. I always look for the way out and the future because that's really all I have to get me to the next bit. Touche. Now, to finish...
That was an approved question. That wasn't an approved question.
Did I give you a good answer?
You did.
Did you want more from it?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good. I could spend an hour talking to you about your...
And you can. We'll do off mic. Another time. Just to finish, before we switch off the mics, J-Mo, you have a very, very wide proven skill set of mastery, talent and expertise. What can you see yourself doing next?
I am more excited about this year than I have been about any other year for as long as I can, for many, many years. I'm very excited about the book. I have deep wishes that it will do well. I'm manifesting that it's going to do well, that it will help someone. I went into a cafe the other day.
So there's a confidence in this for you?
There is a confidence, a wish that it will do well. Not a confidence that it will do well, but I want it to do well. With the podcast that I've done, I know that it has made a difference and to some people. And I always started off to set it out to make a difference to the one person. And the other day, I've had multiple people come up to me that I've never met in my life to tell me or message me on social media to tell me that they listened and that this XYZ chat with some person helped them because of whatever. So that means a lot to me. I had a woman come up to me in a cafe the other day and she called me by my first name. She called me Jonathan. Never met her in my life. Told me that she listened to the podcast. I was like, wow. That's pretty amazing, right?
So the platform that you're, standing on.
That's pretty amazing. So what am I excited about for the future? Living. Took me a long time where I didn't want to live. And I want to live, and I want to live as best I possibly can. I have bad days, but I want to keep doing good work. I'm not dead yet, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So, I'm going to keep on keeping on.
J-Mo, that was a lovely game of tennis. Let's do it again sometime. Thank you.
Badminton, if you ask my partner.
That's it for this episode of 3 Food Memories.